Hey, sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos. And guess what, PB? I have now made St. Patrick's Day a full weekend event. I still got my Guinness going on 2 days later.
All right. There you go, man.
All right. Craziness. We had our show on Wednesday because we wanted to talk the craziness of Tom Brady coming back, unretiring. And the NFL just simply blew up this whole entire week. Besides that Brady deal, we had a bunch of other things that happened. We'll talk about it momentarily. By the way, a big signing in MLB last night. Carlos Correa leaves Houston, goes to the Minnesota Twins, who were last place last year. Is that strictly a money play then?
Yeah, I would say so.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got what, $103 million over 3 years? And every year there's an opt-out. He can leave after every single year. That's crazy.
That's an interesting contract.
Hey, March Madness is in full swing. I don't know about you, PB, but my bracket already took a big hit. My Elite Eight is down by 25%. Kentucky, my Elite Eight team is gone. Iowa, a Final Four team of mine is gone. The brackets are gone crazy. I just heard this morning. ESPN's Tourney Challenge. No one has a perfect bracket. And there's over a million, I think like 10 million brackets or something like that in that thing. No one has a perfect bracket.
Yeah, I know. I think they said someone had one until Iowa State won last night, and that ruined that one person who still had a perfect bracket.
Man, wow. All right. We'll see some good games today. Looking forward to it. Duke is going to be playing. We'll see what happens. Coach K, a lot of pressure on those kids. All right, let's start with this NFL stuff because, like you said, Tom Brady came back. Russell Wilson went to Denver during the week. Rodgers signs an incredible contract, $150 million, I think, all guaranteed to stay in Green Bay. But it broke the bank. They had to trade Devontae Adams to the Raiders. And then last night, the other big one, who saw this? They said they were in the running, and then they said they weren't in the running. Browns. The Browns get Deshaun Watson, which it seemed like he was locked to go to Atlanta, right?
Yeah, or Atlanta or somewhere in the NFC South, really. And there he goes, ends up in Cleveland. And, you know, you look back at that post by Baker Mayfield, and he tried to say it didn't mean that much, but obviously it meant everything. He knew he was on his way out of Cleveland. And now that just makes that division all that more powerful, right? When you got the likes of Lamar Jackson and you got Joe Burrow, and now you got Deshaun Watson. Hopefully he gets on the field, depending on a few things for Cleveland, who we know is strong all around as far as the team goes, right? They got a great defensive line. They got a great running game. And then you can't count out Pittsburgh either. You know, Pittsburgh's a little wild card as well in that division. So you got a really strong NFC North this year.
I mean,
AFC North.
They gave up on OBJ earlier in the season. That hurt. He turned out to be a Super Bowl winner. They just gave up on Jarvis Landry. They did get Amari Cooper, who was dumped by the Cowboys. So I don't know if it's an upgrade or not. I think it's even for Jarvis Landry. So they're still missing another receiver at this point in time. None of those other guys they got on the bench really are, roster excite me at this point in time.
Yeah.
So they still got to find another wide receiver someplace, somewhere. And oh, by the way, Deshaun may not be able to play for the first 6 games.
Right. That's still
he has to get suspended. Big Ben Roethlisberger got suspended back in 2006 for that incident. This is much worse. 22 women. He's got to go at least 6.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then you have the question of what are they going to do with Baker now? Do they hold on to Baker for that reason, or are they going to deal Baker? And where will he land?
He's on his rookie contract. He's not being paid an awful lot. They still have him under contract. By the way, all leverage is off now for a trade. Everybody knows you're going to get rid of the guy. You might as well let him play for the first 6 games, maybe, if Deshaun's suspended, right? Maybe he ups his trade value at that point in time. Who knows?
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't get hurt.
If they do deal him, where do you think he'll land?
He'd like to go to Indy. Obviously, Indy needs somebody. I still think Baker's a decent quarterback with the right team around him. Indy can run the ball as well. They got a good offensive line, too. I think they're probably a little better on defense, in my opinion, than the Browns are. So he could still manage to do a good job on Indy. And by the way, that division is not any better, right? That's a weak division as well, other than the Titans, right?
Yeah, and Titans are even a question mark. And obviously Jacksonville is rebuilding. And now Houston, without Deshaun completely out of the equation now, they're pretty much in rebuild mode. So that's probably one of the weaker divisions in football.
By the way, I don't know. I'd say weaker. NFC East is still the leader in that category, but the division just with the strongest is easily the AFC West right now. All 4 of those teams could be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, the Raiders, we're gonna do a little AFC rankings in a moment. Who do you like? I got Raiders. You'll be surprised where I got them. But they're sneakily, Josh McDaniels is actually doing a better job this time around already than he did when he went to Denver that time, right? He got Chandler Jones. They signed Max Crosby, right? Re-signed Max Crosby, so they get some great rushers, right? They got Devontae Adams from Green Bay. They already had a pretty good receiving room as was with Darren Waller, the other kid, I forget his name right now. And then they got a good running back in Josh Jacobs. That team is going to be a handful. Yeah. And they were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. The other kid you're probably thinking of is Hunter Renfrow.
There you go, Hunter Renfrow, right.
Yeah, and Zay Jones is a pretty athletic dude too.
He's a good third receiver. So the Raiders sneakily, and of course, I think we talked about this on Wednesday, but the Chargers with J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack, now they got the back end and the front end of already a pretty good pass rushing team, anyways, right?
Yeah, yep. And then everything Denver's done.
And Denver, with Russ going there, right? So and by the way, they got a sneaky good signing. Randy Gregory is really going to help them on their pass rush as well.
Yeah, and hurt Dallas a bit more too.
Yeah, exactly. KC made a move for a safety, Justin Reed. I guess that means the Honey Badger's probably not coming back, which is too bad. I think he was a great fit for that team, but Justin Reed is a damn good safety. So KC's still going to be KC at the end of the day, right?
So where do you think Tyrann Mathieu lands then?
I'll tell you where it'd be ideal for him, and the guy that would love to have him is Bill Belichick and the Pats. They just signed up Devin McCourty for $9 million, so that ain't going to happen. Other than that, I would love – the one thing the Dallas Cowboys don't have on the back end is a great safety. And in the NFL these days, you have to have a great safety. They need a guy that can go sideline to sideline. Honey Badger can do that. He makes turnovers. They're a turnover-making team anyway, so he'd be a great fit down there. I don't know if the Cowboys make that move, but he would be a great fit for them.
I think that I would agree with that. I think another good fit might be Baltimore too.
Baltimore as well. Yep. Harbaugh loves safeties as well. Look who one of the best safeties of all time played for them, right? Ed Reed.
Yep. Yeah.
So all right, let me ask you a question. Did Aaron Rodgers break in the bank? Is Green Bay in trouble now? Obviously, they're in a bad division. They're going to win that even if they go 9-8, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always have this feeling that Minnesota is going to break out one of these years. And
good point.
And win that division, which this could be the year that they do that. So I would say no, they can't go 9-8 and win that division. 10-7 maybe could win it, but I'd watch out for Minnesota. Especially if Dalvin Cook can stay healthy. Justin Jefferson's probably a top 3 receiver in the NFL. So Cousins is solid. He's not going to win you a lot of games, but he's not going to lose you a lot of games either. So that team could certainly, and you got to play the Bears twice, the Lions twice, and the Packers twice. So, they should go 4-2 or 5-1 there maybe. But Green Bay, I mean, who's he going to throw the ball to? I mean, when Adams is in that lineup, it's guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling,
who is a free agent himself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They got another guy. I can't think of his name right now, but the thing that could be interesting with this team, though, is those two backs, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. That could be a two-headed monster that could rival the likes of Cleveland with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, that kind of dynamic backfield that they could be.
I would agree, but I think Green Bay is afraid to upset Aaron, and he's going to get his throws. At the end of the day, he's not going to be a play-action guy all day long. He's certainly not this guy at all. By the way, does this prove once and for all that Brady is the most ultimate team player ever? He's continually taking less money than he really deserves in the market, so his team can load up. And now you've got Rodgers, who breaks the bank, and they have to get rid of his star receiver. You got basically Deshaun Watson, $230 million from the Browns is fully guaranteed. So we talk about they maybe need another wide receiver, but do they have much room after his contract? I don't know. These quarterbacks who want to get paid are killing their teams, which means I don't think these guys really want to win a title as much as they want to get paid.
At the end of the day, you might be right.
All right, so rank your AFC right now for me. What do you got?
Oh man. All right. I think number one's Buffalo.
I'm with you, Buffalo.
Number two, I'm gonna go with Kansas City, even though they lost the Bengals and they didn't make it, but still talent, Mahomes. I'll take Kansas City number two. Number three, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say the Bengals at number three.
Okay.
Number four, I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
And then number five, it's kind of a toss up for me between Patriots, the Browns, the Broncos. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Broncos right now, number five for me.
That's not a stretch. I mean, a year ago, PB, you and I were talking that if Aaron Rodgers went to Denver, they would be the prohibitive Super Bowl favorite, right? Nothing's really changed. Obviously, they lost Khalil Mack. I mean, not Khalil Mack. I'm sorry. They lost Von Miller. But by the way, Von Miller on Buffalo now, right? Whoo! Buffalo just got even stronger. So Denver's going to be a tough out. But you know what? I'm going to surprise you. Buffalo, KC, that's my 1 and 2. I still think the Titans in a weak division, they're going to have probably 13 wins. They're going to maybe go undefeated in the division, which helps Green Bay, like in the past, right? Dallas last year went undefeated in the division. That didn't prove anything. I actually think the Raiders are making the sneaky best moves right now. I got them ahead of Denver, and then Denver tied with the Chargers.
All right.
By the way, the Pats, you mentioned the Pats. I mean, they've already lost Shaq Mason. Trent Brown's probably not coming back. They're not going to, apparently they're not looking for a wide receiver. I don't know why. They continue to get, they gave Kyle Van Noy's gone again, which means he'll probably come back in the middle of the season. The Pats are not spending money after setting records spending money last year. I got a funny feeling this team is going to go south this year. I think we thought they were last year. Mac turned out to be the real deal, but you got to put stuff around him. And if you don't have an offensive line for a second-year quarterback who's not the most mobile guy, right?
Right.
He's in trouble.
Yeah. That's why I didn't have my top five either. So let me ask you this then. How come you go from basically the defending AFC champion Bengals right out of the whole top five, not even tied for fifth? You have them below that.
I still am a little bit worried about their until they go out and do major moves on that offensive line. Joe Burrow cannot get sacked over 50 times again. It won't work this year. I think the rest of the league will be ready for them a little more. And at this moment, unless they make improvements on the offensive line, I can't put them in the top five. I know they're the Super Bowl. I said it last year. If they go to the Super Bowl, when they've had that run, it's going to hurt them more than it's going to help them. And I think that's going to be the case unless they find a way to get some offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, they still could. And again, tough division, right? You mentioned it. After the AFC West, this is probably the highest division in football. Last year was the NFC West by far, but now with Russ Wilson gone, the NFC West just took a little bit of a dive, right? So it's the AFC West and it's the AFC North, and then everybody else is in a chase. But like we said with the NFC West last year, those guys are going to beat themselves up.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree. You know, it'll be interesting. I like the segment we do, the 5 in, 5 out, because historically in the NFL, there's been 5 teams every year that make the playoffs that didn't make it the year before, which means new 5 teams are in, and there's 5 teams that did make it that are out, which my number might even go up to 6. Who knows now that there's 14 teams that make the playoffs instead of 12. But my point is, over, I believe it's the last 25 years, only twice has there only been 4 new teams making the playoffs with 4 out. All the other 23 years, it's been 5 or more. So you're pretty much guaranteed a 5 in, 5 out, especially now that there's 14 teams. So we'll have to do a segment with our 5 teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that we think will this year, and the 5 that will be out as a result of that. That's a fun segment.
I'll tell you what, before we sign off here, the one team that could be in that mix very quickly if they get a quarterback, and I was really hoping in this whole conversation with Falcons getting Deshaun that Matty Ice went to Indy, because you imagine Matty Ice in Indianapolis.
Yeah, or any top tier quarterback, top 10, top 12 quarterback can can go there and do something. You know, Carson Wentz, of course, you know how I felt about him. I knew he wasn't the answer, and he's not going to be the answer in Washington either. But yeah, if they can get themselves a coordinator, and not a Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield's not in that top tier category. He can manage a game, but he's not that guy. But if they get a guy like that, yeah, they'll be scary. They'll be right in that same equation with Buffalo and Kansas City and the Chargers and Bengals and everything we're talking about. So
yes, I would agree. All right. Any other parting shots before we sign off this week?
No, enjoy the March Madness weekend. Get you down to the Sweet 16 after tomorrow. And we'll rock into the Elite Eight starting next week.
Yes, brother. All right, man. Have a good weekend. As I said, St. Patrick's Day weekend is continuing here in the Z household. Take care.